is a tech company?
So yeah, I guess let's get started. I just want to read the room a bit and understand what you guys are thinking for your future. I know that most of you are freshmen, but who's thinking of maybe picking CIS as their major? You guys still haven't made any decisions? Anyone in finance for sure? Okay, we've got some finance for sure. Okay, I guess today we're here to try and convince you that every company is a tech company. So I'll start off by handing it to Danielle so we can start here.
Can everyone hear me out of the, oh, yep, I answered that question. All right. Hi, everyone. I will kick us off here. So I just want to first introduce myself. As Professor Freidenberg said, my name is Danielle. I went to Bentley as well, a little bit longer ago compared to Tomas. Before that, though, I actually was in a specialized writing program when I was in high school. So you'll see a theme here. I jumped around a little bit, thought I wanted to be a writer. I apparently did pretty well on some kind of picture prompt in the 4th grade and was told I was good at writing, so I entered a writing program. And I realized that while I learned a lot, I didn't want to be a writer. So I wanted to go for business. I looked at different schools. I originally from New Jersey, and I settled on Bentley. I really, really liked it. I majored in economics and finance. So I saw a number of you raise your hands for the finance degree, right? You can kind of do anything with any degree is what we have come to find at this point. So we'll talk to you about where we've landed, but in between what I'm doing now and when I graduated from Bentley, and by the way, I learned a lot at Bentley. I loved it. That's why I'm always happy to come back here. I also met my husband here, so you never know who you're sitting next to. But after in between when I was interning, I worked at Brown Brothers Harriman, which is a private bank. I worked in Boston and in the downtown area. I was an intern there, and I did a lot of work with Excel. And I heard Professor mention you just did an Excel project. Typically, interns do a lot of work in Excel, and I was no different, no exception. So I did quite a bit of work in Excel there, and I realized that, hey, I actually really like this. I looked up different new interesting ways to solve problems for my team. They would give me some initial Excel functions, and I figured out better ways to do things, and I really liked it. Look up an index match if you don't know what it is. So fast forward, I decided, hey, I like the tech part. I'm going to mix it with my finance degree. So I ended up interviewing with FactSet Research Systems. Has anyone heard of FactSet? Have you worked with FactSet in the lab, right? Yeah, in the trading room. So awesome. I worked for FactSet for a little over 2 years once I graduated. I realized when I was there, it was definitely they gave me a run for my money. It was an awesome job where I learned a lot, but I realized during that time that I really like the tech actually, and maybe not so much the finance. So I wanted to change my path a little bit, and I took the experience of working with real customers, real clients at FactSet. I was working with really large investment banks in the Boston area. I was going on a lot of one-on-one, in-person client meetings as a consultant, and I was doing work for those customers. Wanted to ditch the finance though. So I worked for Catchpoint, which is a digital observability monitoring platform, mouthful, but essentially it's a platform that tells you if your website's down. And we all know what happens when your website's down. It's frustrating for the consumer, and it's even more frustrating for the company whose website it is because they're losing money at the end of the day. So hear about all those Facebook Meta outages, right? Those are the types of things that Catchpoint would catch. So, pun intended. So I realized when I was there, too, that my role was a little bit less involved with the product itself. I wasn't as technical as I wanted to be. I really liked working with a product and believing in the product, and I was more so working with the renewals of contracts. So I'm like Goldilocks, the first two weren't quite right for me, and now I'm landed at Lean IX. We were recently acquired by SAP, which is the largest tech company in Germany. So it's pretty cool. We get to go to Germany from time to time. We used to be based in Water smaller town. We're now based in downtown Boston. We're at 60 State Street. So if you know where the old State House is, we're literally right there. So if you're around, message us on LinkedIn. We could grab a coffee. So we both work at Lean IX now. I started as a customer success manager, and now I work on our onboarding team with Tomas. I'm a senior customer success onboarding manager and one of the initial joiners of the team. We didn't have an onboarding team when I started. We have one now. We'll talk about what it means to be on the onboarding team, but this is a little bit about me. So moving on. All right, so before I do the slide transition, unfortunately, Glassdoor didn't release the same study for 2023 or 2024, so I have it from 2022. But can someone be brave enough to tell me what you think the top jobs in the US were in 2022? Because it is pretty similar today, but raise your hand or shout it out. What do you think some of the top career paths are? Yeah. Good guess. Very good. Yep. Good guess.
Computer science.
Good guess. All right, these guesses are pretty good. We did a similar presentation, I think, professor, maybe like last year or 2 years ago. A lot of the guesses were doctor, surgeon, dentist, but you guys are right on the money. So with that, give you a second to look up here. The engineering was on the money, all right? We have a few engineering roles up there. But number one is this role called an enterprise architect. Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. An enterprise architect is primarily who we work with on the Lean IX side. So I typically work with a lot of larger name customers and enterprise architects at those companies. Okay, we'll talk about what Lean IX is, why an enterprise architect would use it, and what they would do. But just tossing this up here, it's a pretty good gig, all right? So next, I have the top 2 companies in the Fortune 500 from 2024, and you might recognize them, Walmart and Amazon, right? They're pretty consistently in the Fortune 500 top companies. These are images from their 10Ks. So right here we have a few repeated words in their business strategy. And 2 of the words that are repeated the most, innovation and technology. Do you think of innovation and technology when you think Amazon? Probably yes, right? They're a tech platform, right? Everybody has the app for Amazon, everybody has an Alexa. But what about Walmart? You think tech for Walmart right away? What are some buzzwords that you might think of when you think of Walmart? Anyone have any thoughts?
Red cups.
I think manufacturing, right? Any other? What would you expect Walmart to say in their business strategy? Yep. Save money, live better, right? All right, so they both mention tech and innovation. And this is a common theme in all business strategies of these companies that are in the Fortune 500, okay? And so definitions of innovation and tech, right? Innovation is essentially going to be a new idea, method, or device, a new way of doing things. I talked about how I was interested in Excel functions, God bless me, and when I worked for Brown Brothers Harriman, right? And I found a new way of doing things for my team, and it ended up benefiting them. They changed their process. They liked what I found. This is what companies want to do. Technology, right? Every company that you've ever interacted with, think about it. Most of them have apps. All of them have websites, right, that you can access. So in some capacity, they all touch tech in some sort of way. And now we're going to talk a little bit about, I'll transition it over to Tomas to talk about, essentially how we work with the tech that other companies are involved in, okay? I'm just putting this other stat up here.
So yeah, just a cool stat is that 84% of CEOs believe innovation is critical for growth. So you can see that definitely in the Walmart case. You can see everyone talking about AI everywhere you go nonstop. So again, innovation is at the top of mind when they're in a discussion in the boardroom. And you can see that around 30% of the stock market is focused on investing in that area. NVIDIA is exploding. Only 5% of jobs are actually in the tech industry, while it accounts for such a big portion of the stock market. And only 6% of the CEOs are satisfied with their performance in the front of innovation.
So we're going to talk about how do we fix this or make it better. Maybe not fix, that's a strong word, but
Yeah.
how do we work on this?
So let me tell you guys a little bit about what I've done. So I started my first year in Bentley in 2018 as a freshman, like most of you. I was kind of trying to figure out what I was trying to do. I thought that business was something that could fit into many roles. I worked across various industries. So 11 Chimps is a startup for dog food. I worked there as a growth analyst and helped them with their marketing initiatives, with automations for like WhatsApp messaging. WhatsApp is very big in Brazil, which is my country of origin. So that's what I was doing there. Then environment safety, which is actually air purification. So I was trying to like, as you can see the year, I was trying to like fix COVID, but it didn't really work out. Sell some air purifying technology. Then moved on to Mundo Investe, another Brazilian company. They're innovation for the financial industry. So they try to get lead captures for financial advisors. So we focus on bringing in people that have, I don't know, $500,000 sitting in their bank account ready to invest. And that's what I was doing there. I worked there as a data analyst. In 2023, after COVID, came back to Bentley, went to the CIS sandbox, which you're familiar with if you're doing either very well or very badly in your CS classes. And finally landed a job in Lean IX in 2023. Then we got acquired by SAP, which is again a huge German company. In Europe, they're I think the 4th biggest company right now. And Lean IX was actually the biggest tech acquisition in German history. So you can see that innovation is really in the mind of all the CEOs, and SAP, that has customers all around the world, we'll be showing a little bit about more customers we have, has innovation top of mind.
Has anyone worked with SAP in any of your courses, any of the SAP products? You have? Which? Just curious.
I think GB310 had something about process modeling, but I think that's far away
Might not
for
be a
some of
course
you.
anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, my junior year, I worked a little bit with SAP. All right.
Anyway, I think that the main point here is that no matter what industry I was working in, be it logistics, be it retail, be it financial, technology was always something that I was involved in, and the skills that most contributed to my success in these places was actually my tech skills. Moving on, talking a little bit about the product we've been talking about, Lean IX, Lean IX, Lean IX. What is Lean IX? So Lean IX is what we call the Google Maps for your enterprise. We help you understand what do you have in your company and how to navigate from your current position to the future target state which you're looking for. So what do I mean by that? So I'm going to use an example I'm assuming everyone has a phone in their pocket right now. I'm just going to pick someone random. So I'm going to pick that guy in a hoodie right in front of Mark. How many apps do you have on your phone? Take a guess. How many apps do you have on your phone? Okay, you don't know the answer. I'm assuming no one knows the exact number of how many apps you have on your phone. I'm assuming you also went through the case before where you have to pay someone, you have to send them a Venmo, they only take Zelle, they don't have the same app as you, they have Uber, you have Lyft, you can't split fare with them. This is what we help doing. We help identify all the apps you have, what they do for you, and how you can optimize your company so that you can have the best applications to serve your customers. So that's a little bit of the Google Maps analogy, and we help you navigate these complex networks and these complex landscapes of applications. In that process, what happens very often is that if 2 people are trying to have the same app to do a transaction or request a ride, imagine in a company of 50,000 people that is in multiple countries. This gets very complicated very quickly. So this is a little bit about some of our different customers here. So as you can see, I don't know why that logo got blacked out, but we have customers in every industry. Some of the cool ones I have on the top over there, like Lamborghini, Audi, Bentley, Bugatti, and so on. We also have Visa and MasterCard, more on the financial side of things. So when you look at this list of companies, not all of them you would look at them and think they're a tech company, or they need something to manage their tech stack. You would think that is something secondary. So DHL, for example, is a logistics company. We have a couple of banks there. We have Vodafone, which is big in telecommunications in Europe. So my question to you is, are all companies tech companies? It seems like so. If they're bringing in something just to manage their app and tech stack, this really helps the point of showing that all of these rely on good tech to be successful. So with that, I want to just share a quick video. Our marketing team is very cool, so I just want to show you a little bit of their work.
Oh, I knew that would happen.
Maybe you have to click into it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I might have to. Play? No. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, happens to the best of us.
Can we click into it?
I guess we can maybe leave it for the end and just look it up on YouTube.
Okay.
So moving on to talk a little bit, one of our largest customers, Adidas, the German company. We all have shoes from them. We all have seen their shirts, big competitor of Nike. So Adidas is a sports brand, and when you think of Adidas, you think of shoes, shirts, anything that has to do with sports, soccer teams, and other people they partner with. But when you look at their strategy on how they're going to achieve their mission to be the best sports brand in the world, you can see that one of the main things there is innovation and the other side of tech. So digital innovation, again, in a company that has nothing to do, does not have that profile of being a tech company, is in the tech side of things. The only thing that they miss there is the people, which is not in the tech side of things, but it's very important when you bring in new technology, when you're using something new, to bring the people together. So if you have a technology that you can't use, people need to be trained on it. So again, even the side of this strategy that least relies on technology still is affected by it greatly. With that, a little bit of what we do specifically.
Yep.
So talking about customer success. We ensure our customers are successful and they're looking to the future. So we have a little quote here, skate to where the puck is going, not where it has been. This is again us aiming for the future and always helping our customers transform so that they're ready for what's coming next. So right now, AI is a big topic. All those data warehouses need to be ready to support AI and implement new strategies on how to interact with your customers when AI is the topic. So just for you all to think about how important digital transformation is and how every company at the end of the day is a tech company. With that, we open up for any questions. Feel free to ask anything. And yeah.
You could ask us questions about our career,
About why did we pick our majors, about...
yeah, anything from college. Yeah, go ahead.
Normally, a day in a life, like in the office, like what do you normally do?
So I guess I'm going to start this answer, and the best part is that we only spend 1 week per month in the office. So we're mostly working from home.
Right now.
Yeah,
That's
right
going
now.
to change in August.
It's going to change. It's always going to change. But so a day in our lives are mostly customer interactions. We talk to different brands, some of the ones you saw on that slide, and make sure we're helping their enterprise architects use our tool to ensure they're ready for transformation. So I guess the question that also comes with that is, what's an enterprise architect? So an enterprise architect is a role within the IT organization, and it's the person that prepares all the technology, maps out how the future is going to look, and make sure that old technology is not obsolete.
So in simpler terms too, let's think of the Lyft and Uber example. If you're a company and you have to pay for, you're paying for both of those, why would you pay for both? They do the same thing. They have the same purpose. The prices are similar. So why would you have both? Can anyone think of a reason? It's a trick question. You shouldn't. So an enterprise architect will look at their landscape and say, we have 2 apps that do the exact same thing, and it's used by the same type of people, probably people who have to go on client meetings. Why are we paying for both? So we decide with educated information, data sets, right? We decide to remove one of those, and we take the app that is best fit from a technical and functional perspective, and that's what we use. But how can an organization possibly know, like, right, he said earlier, maybe I have 60 apps on my phone. What if you're Discover? What if you're Discover and you have hundreds of thousands of people who use your credit card and they use your app? How many apps do you think a company like Discover has? And they are a customer of ours. They speak at our events. How many apps do you think Discover has? If you have 60 on your phone. They couldn't tell us that answer either, right? So the goal with Lean IX is that they're tracking their applications in our tool to see them all laid out in front of them, and they're making a decision as to which they're going to use, which they're going to retire. Maybe there's some infrastructure that's causing for those apps to run or to function, like a database or a middleware that is being retired, and they need to replace it. They need to lift and shift, and that's what Tomas is getting at with transformation, right? Things need to be replaced. You need to upgrade your laptops, right, your iPhone. It's not easy for an entire company to do, so that's what we help them to do. And fun fact, Lean IX stands for Lean Information Exchange. So we're making your application inventory lean. It all connects. Any other questions? Yeah.
So if you start, now you help clients with onboarding. So where does the career lead to? What's the next steps in you guys' career?
Yeah, so I can give a little bit of background as to why we have an onboarding team now first. I think that'll probably be helpful. So I started my career at Lean IX as a customer success manager, and I was working with really big companies. Like at the time when I started, the National Bank of Canada was my biggest customer. I worked with them, I partnered with them strategically. I helped them to navigate through our tool and make decisions based on their landscape, right? And during that time, we've recognized and realized that there was a gap in that customer success managers like me, we were also responsible for training or enabling new customers that were signing on our tool. And it wasn't the best use of time. It was better to have, through research and different reports that we had internally, it was better to have one dedicated individual who was enabling on the tool and then passing the torch to the customer success manager to partner with the customer strategically and continue to work on their goals and their use cases. So we built out this onboarding team, right? And I was one of the 3 first joiners. So it's still to this day, like our manager is my manager that I started with on the team. And my one other colleague, Hunter, like the 3 of us, we sat together and we said, we want to standardize the process that we're going to use to onboard a customer. And our tool is also really philosophical. There's a lot of method behind why things are set up the way that they are to drive a customer to be successful. So we sat down together and we worked backwards and we said, if a customer wants to see this report view in the end, how are we going to get them there? So we worked on the onboarding journey, we formulated it. It takes a customer about, on average, 55 days to go through our onboarding journey, and we enable them 1 hour per week every week, but we also email them at any time they have a question. And then toward the end, we have an onboarding business review, which is a strategic call, and leadership should be involved. So sometimes a CIO will be on the call with us, for example, to talk about their company initiatives, and our job on that call is to tell them how we fit into that and can help them meet those goals. So we pass the torch to a long-term customer success manager that will continue to meet with that same customer, maybe every week, every other week, every month. They'll agree upon a frequency, And they'll meet with them to work on the continued goals and iterate off of the enablement that we provide during the onboarding journey. So there's a transitionary period, but the level of support that a customer receives from like me or Tomas during the onboarding journey, it doesn't go away. There's just someone who steps in and partners with the customer more specifically on their particular use cases. So it's a little different than what some folks do. Yeah.
Normally, do you tend to add like more clients to like your client portfolio, or do you like stick with the same ones? And is it like more like your services are like more of like a long-term solution, or just like in the short term?
It's a good question. So for us, we will work with a customer for that like 55-day period. We're onboarding them when they are comfortable and confident to move forward and like use the knowledge that they've gained from us and our sessions to move forward, right? We pass them over to a customer success manager so that person's book will grow. Their book of business will grow. It typically, the way that it works at SAP Lean IX is it's based off of ARR, which is annual recurring revenue. I'm sorry if I'm giving you Ajita, if you're taking finance classes, but ARR, right? That's usually how a book of business is managed. So each customer success manager will have like $3 million on their book of business, depending on how much each customer is paying for their contract. So a customer that pays $1 million versus $100,000, right? The $1 million customer is probably going to require more attention. So it's not like a set number. You have 30 customers on your book. It really depends on how large the contract is. So that is pretty typical, not just for us, but of any company that has a CS department. But we get to say goodbye after 55 days. Sometimes it's bitter and sometimes it's sweet.
I guess just to add a little bit on that, we work with our clients temporarily, and then they move to someone who's more of a dedicated long-term resource.
Yeah.
But the important thing about the onboarding aspect of it is that a lot of times it's very easy to buy new software and not actually implement it. The same way that you probably have apps on your phone that sometimes you just go through and start deleting because you saw a very cool ad, you were like, this is perfect for this thing I need, and then you actually never get to use it. So that's the importance of that state and that part of the journey.
Our job, and a common phrase that you'll hear, and I suggest actually, if you haven't heard it, definitely use it in any of your interviews, and you have it. Our job is to make the product sticky. Has anyone ever heard that before? Making it sticky? Like Tomas was saying, giving the customer a reason to use it, a reason to fall in love with the product, see the value of it. We drive value in 55 days. That's our job, right? We drive value. We give them what they need to be successful. We're giving them specific reports and views that they could take to their very strategic internal meetings. Maybe their CIO is going to present on what they found in our tool, right? That's something that makes a product sticky. Is CIOs using that report in a meeting? Maybe they should keep our product, right? It's benefiting them in some way. Okay, cost savings too, right? We talked about the Uber and Lyft example. Maybe the company is paying for both. The enterprise architect uncovers that, hey, Uber is actually better for us. We should cut Lyft. Here are the reasons. And then they could take that back to their leadership team and say, look, I saved our company X amount of dollars. That's attractive, right? That's attractive for a leadership team. They want to cut costs if possible, right? And do it in the most effective way. So we help customers do that. Yeah.
Do you work more with larger companies or smaller companies?
I work with the large clients, so typically contract deals that are over 120,000 in ARR per year. That's like my group that I work with. And at Tomas, I don't know if you want to comment.
Yeah, I work mostly with contracts all the way from like 30K to up to 150. And I work with a larger number of customers while Danielle focuses on the larger accounts.
And it's not to say, so if like, this is a hypothetical, this isn't an actual situation, but we talked about Walmart and Amazon earlier, right? So Walmart's a really big name. They could sign a contract with us for $50,000, and Tomas could be working with like a Walmart if they only pay us $50,000 a year. So it just depends. Like sometimes I work with customers that I haven't heard of before, but they pay us over 120,000 a year, right? It kind of just depends. Yeah.
How many customers are you managing to this moment?
Oh, I should know my book of business. I'm trying to picture. I think I have about, so in active onboarding right now, I have 4. And I also have, I think, 4 in handover status, which means they signed their contract, but we haven't actually started the onboarding yet. So I'm going to be getting 4 more. Once I have my welcome call with them, it'll be 8.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
As a company?
Oh, as a company? In onboarding or just in general?
I think the number right now is around 1,500 customers. But again, remember that these are enterprises. So a lot of times, like those big names we saw in the previous slides.
And fun fact, Mars, has anyone know who Mars is? You should. If you've gone trick-or-treating, they make M&Ms. They were our 1,000th customer. So, fun fact. Any other questions? Oh, Tomas,
Oh yeah.
How many do you work with
Just in
right now?
my book of business right now, I think since I joined the company around a year ago now, I worked with over 50 customers, and right now I'm actively working with around 20. So that's what you would expect.
And do you want to talk about like group onboarding approach too?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we noticed over time is as the company started growing more and more, so we went from a 10-year-old startup to now being part of a very big German company. And in this process, we had to start scaling. So how can we work with multiple customers, still generating the same results? And that's part of what I work with. So I help them scale up so that we can meet with multiple customers at once and still generate results that are valuable for their C-levels. So that's a bit of where I focus on.
Yeah, so Tomas and I are a little different in that sense too. If I'm working with a larger contract, like a customer who pays us more, I give them one-on-one attention. I meet with them and their team on a call every week. Like I used to have, a call with National Bank of Canada 1 week every week. Tomas will have a group of customers on one call that he leads to enable. So he has more customers that he's working with, but he'll lead one call and they'll join in a cohort. We call it a cohort, right? So maybe I'll have 10 customers who just signed on recently that join his one session per week. Good questions. Any other questions?
What changed in your day-to-day culture of the company as you went from being an independent company to one that was acquired by SAP?
Great question, because we're still figuring it out.
Yeah, we're in the process of becoming one company as a whole and aligning processes. But I think the main things are how things are done. So we were used to being like, hey, I have a great idea. Let me just try it out with my customer and see if it works out. And then if it did, report back to the team, see if it's valuable for them. Now that we're in a bigger company, there are more people involved in every account. So every time we're talking to a customer, now instead of being the product that they have, we're one of many products that they have from our company. So SAP has 10 other products with them, has 40 other products with them. So it's a little bit interesting working in this dynamic where there are more people involved, not only on the customer side, but also in the internal team side.
Yep, and I would say too, with that, because there's so many other people involved, there's a lot of eyes on us, right? So other areas of SAP, so if you're familiar, if you've worked with an SAP product, there's a ton of them. There's a lot of different teams at SAP. It's a huge company, but we are Lean IX, SAP Lean IX. Before us, SAP acquired Signavio, and now it's called SAP Signavio. So that's another product of SAP that a customer can buy. Signavio doesn't have an onboarding team. So one of their gaps, major gaps, compared to Lean IX is they don't have an onboarding team. They don't have anyone that's specialized in enabling customers on the tool. So there are eyes on our onboarding team right now. We do, I would say, I wish Bob was here. I would say we do a pretty good job, right? We do a good job. Customers do experience value after 55 days with us. It's huge. So what's SAP doing? They're saying, hey, Signavio, hey, other branches of the business, let's take what Lean IX has done and have them teach us how they created an onboarding team and let's apply it to all of our other products. So it's really good exposure in that sense, I have to say. Like we got to go to Germany in October, and when we went there, we were talking to a lot of different teams about what we do, and they were, talking to us about how they could implement what we do. And it's become a larger company initiative for other areas of the business to have onboarding teams like we do.
I think on the topic of exposure, one thing I wanted to add is that we work with the person who's going to be communicating directly with the C-level every day on the tech side of things.
Yeah.
So one thing that happens is when we work with a customer, very quickly they implement the tool, they see the value in it. We're getting CIOs saying, hey, this is great, I love this product, and it's very rewarding to be able to, in your first year in your career, already be talking to C-levels and actually generating results for them that are important.
Like currently right now, is there a lot of competitors within the same industry and services?
It's interesting because I would say our largest competitor, funny enough, is also a tool that we integrate with. So if you've heard of ServiceNow, it's a CMDB. We integrate with ServiceNow so that people can, typically a lot of our customers do have a CMDB like a ServiceNow. If you haven't heard of it, definitely look it up. There's a lot that goes into it, and I won't get into the weeds, but ServiceNow offers a product called ServiceNow APM. It stands for Application Portfolio Management, that competes with Lean IX. Our competitive advantage, and I'm not even being like a saleswoman right now, it's just the truth. Our competitive advantage is that we're able to generate important visual reports for customers that ServiceNow cannot produce. So you can house or manage, maintain your data in ServiceNow, but you actually have to export that data to another tool, like a Power BI, Excel, PowerPoint, Tableau, to create a visual off of it. So the benefit of having Lean IX is that you can put your data in Lean IX and produce a report in Lean IX on that data. You don't have to use multiple other tools, right? So signing on with Lean IX will give a customer that benefit. It'll also allow them to reduce costs in certain areas, like maybe they don't, or retire redundant processes. Maybe they don't need to use Excel for that anymore, or Tableau or Power BI or PowerPoint to create a report. They could just do it all in Lean IX, and a lot of customers will call that a single source of truth. And that's the main reason why a customer will sign on with us, because they have data in all different places. They have it in ServiceNow, they have it in other tools like even Signavio, which is another SAP product. They have it in Excel. They have it even, I've seen it in like the docs folder that's not like individual people will have it on their docs folder on their computer. And it's like, what are you doing? Other people can't read that, right? So they need to figure out a better way to do it and put it all in one place. And that's what we do best.
Yeah, I think that another very interesting thing is that this specific product of this larger company, ServiceNow, something that came out very recently in the last couple of years. And so with the success of Lean IX as a company of itself, and then getting acquired by this big European company, a lot of other people in the space of innovation technology, they started noticing that there was a big market for this. And so other competitors of ours, like RDoc, another tool, have joined forces with other companies to compete with us directly. So it's very interesting how the move in the market was based off the initial moves of Lean IX.
Yeah.
What are some challenges you encounter in the day-to-day work?
I think, well, there are some, you can answer this separately, but I think we're reading each other's minds right now. I think that with being acquired by a big company, there are some good things that come with it, but there are some things that are taking some getting used to. Like having, before, like Tomas just said, we could have an idea on the go and just do it. Like our manager is very supportive of that. He trusts us. It's an awesome work environment. He'll say, you know the product, you know best, do it. You have my blessing. That's changing a little bit. People are questioning, we need to test this first. We need to, we need to consult with the global team. So we're on the team in the Americas, but there's a team in Europe, right? We're a German company. We need to consult with the global team, and the global team needs to be all on the same page. We need to standardize. And you know what that does? It just takes a lot longer to do everything. So we're kind of getting used to that. A bigger company means things just take a longer time. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess on my side, one of the main things is that I speak Portuguese and Spanish because I was raised in South America. And so I work with all the accounts for that region. And so what happens very often is there's people that I don't know directly reaching out to me, asking for a number of things because we're now part of something bigger and they know who I am, but I not necessarily know who they are, and asking for different demands. And I have to basically interact with a larger group of people to do the same things I was already doing.
I guess in conjunction with that question, how's like the work life? As in, do you guys travel a lot, or is more like on calls with certain customers?
So we don't travel a lot. Right now we're going into, like we don't go on one-on-one client meetings like in person. I've never been to visit one of my customers, although I've been invited to go. I personally haven't. Sometimes strategic meetings like executive business reviews are in person. Like I actually I onboarded Ocean Spray and Shedden, if anyone knows her, I know she went here too. She was in the CIS sandbox a lot. But Shedden is also working with us as a customer success manager. So I passed Ocean Spray to Shedden, and then Shedden went to their headquarters in Massachusetts for the executive business review. So while we don't necessarily for onboarding because a customer is like pretty new, it's the case where some customer success managers will travel to do that. And we have some like local events. There was one in Portland, Oregon at the end of last year that like the customer success managers that work with the customers who live on the West Coast, they'll go to those events. We have larger summit events. I think like the bigger one in September, I don't think they announced where it is yet, but it's been in, like, we have bigger events in Chicago. It tends to be in, like, the big hub city areas. And the customer success managers will have the opportunity to go there. I have to say, I got the pleasure to go to, so the headquarters for Lean IX are in Bonn. I've been to Bonn twice. I've been to Sicily with Lean IX once. I've been to, where else in Frankfurt was our most recent one. We spent some time in Frankfurt. And it's sounding like because we are like legally consolidated with SAP now, we'll probably get to go to Germany to meet with the team because it's just a good meeting spot. We have some team members in Australia. It wouldn't make sense to send the US to Australia or Australia to the US. It's usually somewhere in Europe. We have an office in like Slovenia, really all over the place, but it's sounding like we'll probably get to go to like Munich this year. They want us to go like once a year, every year, because it's important to meet with your team in person too. Like we get some really, Tomas is like the mayor when he goes over to Germany. He's like talking to everybody. I love it, but yeah, it's beneficial. So yeah, I've got to do some travel, but more for internal things for us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that for other teams, that traveling is kind of more part of their role. For example, a lot of salespeople, they'll be traveling to visit clients all over the world, going in person, doing pitches. So our department, I say, isn't the one that most travels, but there are others that do more traveling.
And we do have a budget, actually. Like internally, there's a budget for every team to attend conferences that they want to attend. So like if Tomas wanted to go to, so Gainsight, if you've heard of it, it's a really, probably the most popular customer success tool. Like we use it every day to log our meeting notes and things like that. So if we wanted to go to like a Gainsight conference to learn more about customer success in the Gainsight tool, we could tell our manager about that and he'll be like, awesome, cool, go. So book your flight and go, right? So we're able to do that kind of thing too. Good question. So any other questions for us? Yeah, it's right here.
Thank you all for coming. Big thanks to Tomas and Danielle.